Hello everyone, Maurice and welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, versus development. For today's video, it's Ethereum only. The investment I'm going to talk about today will be Ethereum taking ETH. First, just want to say happy Sunday, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend so far, and hope you guys had a great Saturday as well. I had a relatively good Saturday yesterday. I spent the whole day in Brooklyn with my family yesterday. We went to the Smorgasbord Food Festival, and also we went to a flea market. And spend some time in Chinatown, get some dim sum as well, and wrap up the day from there. As you know, I woke up like relatively early yesterday as well, at 6:15 a.m. So I spent a long day yesterday. So I went to bed relatively early, and I was like reading through the news. As obviously I was like commuting, from where I lived all the way to Brooklyn yesterday. And collectively speaking, we obviously had a lot of consolidations of positive news so far, collectively speaking. And today, as of this morning, as I'm recording around 11 a.m. on the Eastern time, Treasury trading like the $2,123 level, down about 1.46%. I think the news are relatively flat today. We haven't really seen a lot of specific positive news or negative news in the last 12 hours so far. As I was reading through the news this morning, I spent like 45 minutes to an hour reading news while having my breakfast or having my coffee. And I was actually doing that while I was commuting to the gym as well with my friends. Um, and some of the news that we have regurgitated here, in just to take a look, would be with respect to the Goldman Sachs news, right, on their European expansions. They're expanding their current asset management platform for crypto towards the European nation to capture that global growth going forward, right? Obviously, great gravitas, great stamp of approval for crypto assets going forward. So this is kind of a pseudo correlation news to obviously Ethereum as a price point, right? And also with respect to other news that we also got, it's another regurgitation with respect to Jpmorgan offering to the private wealth and the institutional clients to the crypto assets trust going forward, right? The Bitcoin related and the Ethereum related trust, like under Grayscale platform going forward, right? So another stamp of approval from another major institution. And then we got some other news like from Cointelegraph that says like just hold Bitcoin, Ethereum outperform lower risk crypto index funds. So obviously this is like just screaming like buy, hold, hold. So another kind of influential news, but obviously Cointelegraph is one of those questionable type of media companies. So it's good to know, but obviously something we have to take a grain of salt with, right? Another news that we got collectively with respect to Rockefeller co-founder is selling NFT for $10 million in Ethereum amid the lawsuit that is currently having with Jay-Z and Damon Dash, which are the co-founders of the Rockefeller Group, right? So obviously, with the name Ethereum in play, selling NFT, another stamp of approval from the music industry, I guess, right? Also with the Busta Rhymes media affectation as well. He bought Bitcoin, or he's expecting to buy Ethereum as well after the B Word Summit, or maybe after his communications with Elon Musk, right? So another step of approval from obviously the media side of the world, right? And then more as I read through more, just a collections of reinforcements of the B Word Summit, basically regurgitating that Elon Musk is invested into Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Dogecoin as well. So obviously, with respect to these collections of positive media affectations so far, we have basically reversed Ethereum price point all the way up from the $1,750 level that we identified previously as the bottom to reach basically five resistance level to breach above to get hit all the way to the $2,187 at one point yesterday, right? It seems like we're kind of normalizing and taking some profit right now across the spectrum, but not just for Ethereum, but for across the whole board, right? So I'm gonna go through a technical analysis to see how we're trending going forward because of the fact that there are some major catalysts coming, right? With respect to just name a few, right? Tesla's earnings call is tomorrow on the 26th. So if there's a huge positive surge, obviously with respect to their ties on Tesla with Bitcoin's investments, and obviously Elon Musk is an investor in Ethereum, if we hear anything specific about Elon Musk putting Ethereum into Tesla's balance sheet, this will subsequently create a huge surge effect onto Ethereum, knowing the fact that he has some sort of like cult effect, and at the same time, just huge correlations to the volatility at the same time, right? Just stem from the B Board Summit that we've heard. And then the FOMC meeting on the 28th, which will be something that I kind of worry about. But obviously, I think this will serve as a great buying opportunity if it goes in our favor. Okay, so stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticket ETH, I'm recording of 11:05 a.m. on Eastern time, current trend like the $2,126, down about 1.27%. And the current states of momentum that we're seeing right now is mainly driven by obviously the positive pump that we've had in the last basically 4 consecutive days so far, right? If you include Saturday as a whole, right? On top of the Wednesday affectation from the anticipatory pressure from B-Word Summit and subsequently confirmatory pressure that we had, with obviously Cathie Wood, Elon Musk, and even Jack Dorsey's stamp of approval on being investors into obviously anything that's related to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even Dogecoin as well, right? Which subsequently propelled the whole crypto assets market to go up. And then some other positive news that we've mentioned, right? The Goldman Sachs news, and then the Jpmorgan news, and some other pseudo news that are, supplementary but more trivial side of the world, if you may, right? And today, with respect to the media affectation front, as I kind of spoke about in the collections of news I've read through, collective this morning, it seems like it's been kind of just flat and not, leaning towards one side of the spectrum today. So people are just taking some profit across the board because with lack of momentum, and we have hit that resistance level, to hit almost that $2,200, right? At one point, $2,187. So it seems like we're reversing back down. We did breach below the 2,150, which is a level of identifications that we have identified before. If we go closely, you can see that level. That's something we have identified before. We were not able to get above the 2,200, and with that saying that we were not able to breach above the 2,250, right? Because of the fact that RSI is highly overbought right now, if you look at it, and we're reversing back down. On top of the fact that the MACD recently crossed, so it is definitely a bullish signal. But with respect to the how quick we have pumped up so far, it needs to kind of correct and kind of cool down a little bit because the jet is really, really hot right now. You don't want to blow up your engine right now. You want to cool down, hold your brakes, right? Come back down to the 2,100, which will be the first level that we will be testing first, right? But I think more ideally will be going down to the $2,050, right? Just to cool down. If nothing happens, right? Let's say no news happens until today, until like tomorrow, right? And I think tomorrow we might see some surge pressure because we will hear more specifically about Bitcoin's investments from Tesla's earnings call, which I think is going to happen after market hours around like 5 p.m. Eastern time or 6 p.m. Eastern time, depending on what's their time that they have listed. I believe it's 5 p.m. based on historical experience so far. And I think that could drive some buying pressure because of just the Elon Musk beware summit effect, right? And I think people will potentially hedge that. And I think people are slowly hedging that based on the fact that Bitcoin is kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, not really down. And Dogecoin as well, right? But Ethereum, is because of the fact that we've surged so much already, right? So it's kind of net adjusted because like you have to understand that some people are being a little bit more risk averse, right? They want to take some profit, and it makes sense. And I think it's a very logical, very smart thing to do to take some profit, right? Would I be buying now? I think no. I think because of the fact again, RSI is very stretched. MACD is crossed despite it's bullish, but I think we need to cool down to come back down to 2,000 or the low 2,000, right? Right? If we breach that 2,050, we'll go to the 2,000. And I know that if we get to the 2,000, you will have a very high likelihood of going down to the 1960 or 1950. I'm just trying to be precise, right? And so that's that's like the expectations for the Tesla earnings call. And then the 28th would be and the 27, 28, which is basically the subsequent days. I don't know what's the FOMC meeting status report that's going to be released, or how's the media affectation going to spin that on the 27th, 28th. I know that on the Fed's website you see 27th, 28th, but which date is it going to be affecting the market? I think we just have to hedge, right? I think based on just historical experienced so far, right? It's always been negative, right? Because of the inflationary pressure, the quantitative tightening plan, the tapering plan going forward that we'll be hearing from the Fed. And whenever we hear something comparable to that type of verbiage, or those type of keywords, if you may, we typically sell off across the whole market, right? We might, like Tesla, might pump up, to go potentially above the 700, right, by tomorrow. But and then we'll come back down because of the negative, FOMC meeting. So I hope that the FOMC meeting is actually negative, to be honest with you, because I am still trying to build up my position from here. And I think we have a pretty high chance of actually getting a negative one because inflation has to happen, right? And I think people are obviously thinking more of a short term perspective, right? But this is something that's going to gradually, you know, um, influence the market. And I think, that this is a bandage that needs to rip off, right? And I think the Fed is slowly ripping it off. But I actually rather them ripping it off immediately, as fast as possible and allow us to bleed, right? And by us bleeding, we'll bleed to the point to go back down, hopefully, to the 1750. But I think 1750 will be very unlikely because for you to do that, you have to basically completely destroy the chart, and the RSI has to be basically falling off a cliff straight down. How likely is that going to happen? That's not going to likely happen. I think maybe 1900 will be possible, but you need to kind of go through that normal course of cadence of oscillation, right? And then slowly rally from there. So FOMC meeting, my gut feelings, and not really gut feelings. I don't use feelings to invest. Based on just historical trends, it's always been negative. The last 3 has always been negative to the market. Just look at the charts back in the day, right? So that's something that I'm prepping to hedge. And I think if you want to buy some put, for the FOMC meeting, wouldn't be illogical, right? I hope they surprise us, right? But I ultimately hope that they actually, can correct the market a little bit more. So go back down to ideally to 1850, and I think I will probably buy more Ethereum if we get down to 1850 again to further build up my position from there. All right, just to recap our numbers in the technical analysis, currently we are floating between the two levels, right? The 2,150 and $2,050. So what do we know so far, right? We broke through we didn't reach the 2,200. We were almost there, and if we don't get there, we have to reverse back down, right? And next thing you know, we crash below the 2,150, which is a very substantive level, right? So we broke that because of people taking profit, with a very high likelihood of actually getting down to $2,050, right? And I think this is just the normal course of people taking profit, right? Because we've been green for the last 3.5 days so far, right? So it just makes sense for us to get there. I do foresee a potential positive days tomorrow because of, again, with respect to Tesla, being an investor holding Bitcoin in the balance sheet right now, we might hear a little bit more about their holding tomorrow, right? Or they're purchasing or selling tomorrow. And if we hear anything specific about like Tesla as a company as a whole investing into Ethereum tomorrow, or if we even hear anything in the filing, right, or we read through the verbiage and we see that, we will have a mega green day tomorrow for Ethereum because that's just a great stamp of approval, right? I know Bitcoin previously we had that surge because of that specific investments that Elon Musk has done, which subsequently got us, to almost like $44,000 of per Bitcoin at one point, right? So we do see comparable drag effects into Ethereum if we hear something comparable to that dynamics, right? However, if we do have a green day, I suggest taking some profit tomorrow ahead of the FOMC meeting, okay? And I think with the FOMC meeting, contingent on the level of resistance that we break through tomorrow, right? If we leap up to like 2,450, which, I think would be unlikely, but at least 2,350, I think the bottom would be around like 2,050 then for us to get down, because like for us to crack through resistance level, it takes a lot of effort, right? And with respect to 1950, I do hope we get there. I hope that we don't hear anything specific about Ethereum. I hope the FOMC meeting is negative because that will give us more opportunity to buy at a lower risk level for Ethereum going forward, right? And continue to build up your long-term value proposition going forward, right? With respect to corporate option, 20%, 9,800, 4.6 times your money from here. Alright, so that's it for today. Respect my technical analysis on Ethereum ticket ETH. Hopefully this is helpful into giving you that clarity, that structure of what to expect going forward, right? It's definitely going to be a volatile couple of days and weeks coming up ahead of obviously the FOMC meeting, the Tesla earnings, and obviously the expected London fork, happen on August 4th coming up, right? So definitely try to stay strong. Try to stay, keep your stomach tight. Don't get woozy or get shaken because of these crazy wave that we'll be expecting going forward. Stay strong. Use logic. Use quantitative analysis to apply your price executions going forward, right? But again, feel free to ask me any questions if you have any questions. I'm always available for you guys. And let's try to, help as many people as we can collectively and spread the words out there. And really appreciate you guys and have a great rest of the weekend. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday coming up.